Everyone, welcome to Angel Heart Radio. I'm Annette McCoy, and with me today is Marnie Perna. I'm really fortunate because Marnie comes on once a month, and it's always a fun show. So thank you for joining me today, Marnie.
Oh, my pleasure, Annette. I look forward to our shows.
We do have lots of fun, don't we? And I don't know about you, but this show, I love Easter time. It's a really fun time of the year for me.
It's always got happy memories in my calendar of events in a year as well. So it's always, for me, it's very much family time, and whatever that means to you, and whatever way you celebrate or have a blessed Easter. It's not always about the religious ceremony, but it's all part of the energy of the day. The angels are very much in play around this time of the year.
I agree. Now, in welcoming our audience, I would like to encourage you to go over to the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page, because that's where you can comment, ask questions, and be a part of the show. And it's always fun to have the interaction with our other lovely people. So please, on you go over there and enjoy. And I'm playing around here, as I quite often do. Things that seem straightforward all of a sudden aren't. So
yeah,
here we are.
That's called technology.
You know, multitasking and trying to do it without making it obvious. No, give up.
And focusing on what you're typing and looking up occasionally, sort of thing. Yeah.
It's fun. All right, so getting back to Easter. I must admit, Marnie, commercialisation concerns me. We no sooner get over Christmas these days, but the Easter things are out. And for me, eggs, the symbols of Easter.
Symbols, that's the right way of putting it.
Should be, well, for me, I tend to look at them just before Easter. And because they are symbols to me. And I think, goodness me, if we're scoffing Easter eggs in January,
yeah,
seems a bit weird.
It's not quite the same, is it? What we should be doing is going through our fridges and larders and saying, okay, have we got any left over from last year? So I've got some very, very, very strong old memories of Easter. And as I said, they were happy times, but they were family times. And so I had my early childhood in Tasmania, in Launceston, and it was cold there. So Easter time was quite cold. And I can remember getting what at the time seemed to me a huge chocolate Easter egg. I can remember it being massive, like really, really big. And my mum, we all got one. So we all got this one Easter bunny, and we were allowed to eat a piece of it a week. So one week we would get one ear, and another week we get it. And look, we religiously stuck by that, because we would have been taught. So I would have been maybe 4.
Wow.
Possibly even 3. And I remember this. And then the other strong beginning memory, and it's something that I've kept as a tradition, was going to my auntie's house, and they organised an Easter hunt. And we really didn't know much about it, really. And because prior to moving to Tasmania, I would have been a lot younger. Okay, I think I went there when I was about 2.5. And my cousins rushed us inside, and we didn't know why. We thought we were in trouble, because they had a ramshackly old yard. Like, my aunt was a hairdresser, and she had the hairdressing salon in the front, but her husband collected cars, big cars. So there were all these old wrecks in the backyard. And I can remember my cousins rushing us little ones inside, and we didn't know why, so we were a bit annoyed, and because we wanted to play in all the cars and everything. And he's saying to us, the Easter Bunny's coming, the Easter Bunny's coming. And we didn't have a clue what he was talking about. But after a little while, we all went out as a family, and we were involved in this magical Easter hunt, where we were looking in cars and in grass and in gardens, and we found all these amazing things like cups with an egg in it and stuff like that. And it was just one of those pivotal times in your life that sticks in your memory and forms part of your ongoing heritage and tradition. and it's
Sure.
something that I've kept going, and we've always had an Easter hunt. And our Easter bunny for my children's years were, because they're all young adults now with their own families, but their primary years up until about probably age 10 or 11, their dad was a shift worker. So our bunny was a shift working bunny. If Santa was on night shift, he came later in the afternoon. If he was on day shift, they came again in the afternoon. But if he was on afternoon shift or not, he came in the morning. And we used to go to church on Easter Sunday, and everyone would say, oh, the Easter bunny's been, and our kids would say, well, ours hasn't come. Because it depended on when Santa was coming home from work.
Right.
And we always did the bunny, we always did a hunt of some sort, so it was relevant to their ages. So depending on what age they were, was the age of the hunt, if that makes sense. So the older one, if he was able to understand letters and stuff, or maybe we would have included letters, and you go on to the next thing. I remember once actually burying them in a sandpit in a big container, and it was a treasure hunt, and you got to the next day and they told you to go somewhere else. And I always had enormous fun creating them.
Right.
Coming up with them. And I'm hoping they all remember the hunts. But I can do it now with grandchildren.
It's interesting, yes, the different associations that people have. And I remember it one way, and do my children remember it that way, etc., etc.? So.
And like the year where you're just exhausted and you just can't do it, and it's Easter Saturday and you haven't done anything. So I think one year I made it, the Easter bunny came in the middle of the night, and they didn't have to hunt for it. It was all on the end of their beds, and they just got this lovely parcel on the end of their beds. But we always had, I'm a collector of stuff. Okay, so I love ornaments, I love knickknacks and things like that. And very early on, this would have been my children's first Easter bunny. Oh, I've got he's on his head. So it's a little China Easter bunny, no brand or anything like that. He's just the Easter bunny. Now, he was the symbol for when the Easter bunny was about to put the eggs around at home. He was always on this beautiful shelf with all my other ornaments around Easter time, but he would move, and he would magically move to another room, or he'd go near the front door or the back door. And I can hear my children in my ears saying, now we've got to keep an eye on that Easter bunny, whoever sees him move first, let us know. And they'd allocate times where they were supposed to look at the Easter bunny. But they got sidetracked. So as soon as they're sidetracked, he'd move. And oh my God, the bunny's moved. It was just wonderful. So I bought all of them little China bunnies when they got their own families, for them to start their own traditions if they chose to. But Nanas or Nonnas and Grandma still has one up here. So if they come up here and they're here for Easter, they will be in a treasure hunt or a bunny hunt.
Beautiful.
And you've always got to worry about your dogs and pets. And we always had dogs, so you could never leave them and go to church, because you'd come home and the dogs might have eaten them or something, or they melted or whatever. So you had to be innovative when you could race out and put them everywhere once you got home. So,
right.
Yeah. The fun of a parent.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So I'm wondering what memories our audience have, and what traditions that they have continued. Maybe, it is interesting what we have from our childhood, what we remember, and then do we continue that tradition, or have we gone with the times?
Sorry, go on.
I these days see my children pre-Easter and after. I'm very fortunate I live near them. However, we all go away in different directions for Easter. And so I thoroughly enjoy Easter time. It's gorgeous. These days, there's a football game that I go to watch, and then I have days to go away or do other things, which is fabulous.
So we're still having the big Easter lunch on a Sunday. So whoever can make it makes it. It's one of those things, like if you're going away yourself or you're doing something else, it's fine. It's not a problem or a challenge. But as much as my memories and emotional triggers of Easter are positive, you will have people whose Easter trigger is negative. It's a time of sadness. There may have been a passing in the family around that time, or a significant something happened. So for them, coming up to Easter is fraught with negative emotions coming through. So if that's happening to you, how can you allay those? How can you wrap them up in bubble wrap so that the memories don't hurt you as much? Right? Because you can't change what's been. You can only change your response to what shows up again. So if it's a traumatic time, you need to overlay that with something positive. So you've come through childhood or come through young adulthood and there's been a trauma. What can you do to say, I acknowledge that trauma, but it doesn't have to be with me the whole time. I can let it go. I can heal from that trauma. So how can you heal? And what do you need to heal from? Now, at the moment in my house, our little ones, so I've got one in grade 1. So my family, part of my family live here with us. And so I've got one little granddaughter in grade 1 or preschool, and one in kindy still. Now, they've had their Easter bonnet parades, and the little one in kindy or daycare had hers yesterday. And she was traumatised because for whatever reason, she was absolutely terrified of the Easter bunny.
Wow.
She would cover them in. She knows what it's all about. She just thought it was real and it was going to get her. And I didn't go down to it, so I didn't see the outcome, but apparently it was traumatising. So I will be working on something for her so that she can have a different kind of a memory, So it's not going to follow her through, because she was also the one that was very unsure about Father Christmas and stuff as well. So there is something about the real person that is representing these kind of events. So, there's going to be lots of people that have children that are terrified. And we can belittle it and we can write it off, but we can also maybe step back to our childhood and understand how frightening this could be. So how can we help our little ones if they are traumatized by the symbols of tradition? And, the traditional religious story of Easter can be very worrying to children as well, because they listen with their ears and their heart, and they take it all in.
Right.
So, they're worrying about dying and being buried and coming alive and all those kind of things. So, you can't put wisdom into a little one's head. They've got to learn that as they go through and put their own layers on it. So how can you unpack some of the images that the little ones are coping with? And not everyone will. Right? Not everyone has this trauma. Other children just take it as a grain of salt. They don't take it on board as personally.
Well, we are all different, aren't we? And we all have different responses to situations. And I know here I am saying, I'm really looking forward to Easter. I know for a lot of people, it is a very religious time. It's a time of reflection, and Good Friday especially can be a day of almost mourning.
Yeah.
And then Easter Sunday is the rejoicing, and that's why the eggs came out. New
yes, I think it's an old German. Is it a German tradition, or is it a Welsh?
I'm not sure.
Should done, because I know the eggs meant, from memory, the egg had something to do with prosperity and the growth.
Right.
Growth. So it will have come through a folklore of some sort. So maybe one of our listeners knows the story behind the eggs of Easter, and I think it's the basket of giving is part of. So somewhere in my memory there is fragments of a story heard about it being the basket of blessings and joyful recovery sort of thing. So there will be something, because everything's come from
Kiss has joined us, and she's she thinks you are sharing very wise words.
Thank you.
As always, Marnie, you have food for thought, and it's wonderful. I'm wondering whether we have new people in the audience today who are unaware that you are a kinesiologist, as well as an author and workshopper, and you have many hats.
I do.
However, you are there willing to assist people, whether that be in person or via the internet, which makes it possible that if people are watching us from overseas, it doesn't necessarily preclude them from reaching out to you.
I have a number of online clients now. And like I tailor them for the client as well. So I've got one lady that has her face-to-face kind of meeting, and then we tailor catch-ups regularly and do like half-hour sessions where we just do a phone touch-in, and it's enough for her to raise any issues that's showing up, but also for her to feel more stable when she's going through challenges. So she was saying to me today, she said, because I had one earlier today, and she said, one day you're going to have to explain how you do it. Why do I feel so much better when we've had our catch-ups?
The magic touch of Marnie.
Absolutely. And it's like they have me in their head and their ear. But it's, as I was saying to her, there's a trauma trigger, but we sort of nurture the trauma and give it a solution or give it a second option, so that when that trigger raises its head again, you've got choice A and choice B. So, and we're all energy, like we're energetically connected to so much, and we feel the energy, like especially when you're an empath, you feel other people's emotions, you feel the trauma from other people. So you have to learn ways of filtering that. So how can you filter other people's anxiety and dread? Like there's so much in the world that is so distressing. You know, you open the paper or read the news or just talk to people, and there's distressing news all the time, and you can take that on board and you can be really annihilated by it. So you need to be able to filter some of it. So yes, you can feel it and you can understand it and you can maybe respond to it, but you don't have to take it on board. So don't wear it on your shoulder. You don't have to carry the weight of other people's trauma. You can respond, and then it sort of goes back to them and they then deal with it. Because it's not, I think that's something that we forget as healers sometimes, is we don't have to fix people. We facilitate fixing, we facilitate healing. So we give them options to do themselves so that they can feel better and cope better.
And that is something that we all need to understand, because if I'm expecting someone else to heal me, that ain't going to happen. But somebody such as yourself can facilitate and assist me to the healing.
So I have different knowledge that might work in your situation. So, you know, my knowledge can help you recover or do whatever. So, but yeah, it's just magic. I love it.
That is obvious. Now, if people want to reach out to you, you have a wonderful website, www.kinique, KINIQUE.com.
Yep.
And you're also on Facebook.
Not as often lately. I don't know why. I don't get on there quite as much, but I'm still there. So if people reach out to me, they will get me on Facebook, yes, either on my personal page or my kinesiology page. So I've got a workshop coming up. It's an online, so it's a 1 hour webinar kind of thing online on the 29th, might be, of May. I'll put a link on the post after today. And it's just a little one. I'm doing it with, I put it forward as one of the Australian Traditional Medicine Society's Natural Medicine Week events. So I haven't heard yet whether they're not endorsing it, but sometimes they put it in their play. And it's just 10 points to de-stress. So why is stress affecting me? What can I do about it? Give me 10 easy points to be able to take away. So a lot of my listeners or our listeners will have heard different aspects of it. So it's just another reiteration of things you can do personally to empty your stress bucket. Because remember, that's what you've got to keep as empty as possible.
Wonderful. So Easter, I wonder what it's interesting, isn't it? Even when we say a word, what our response is, you know, do we feel really good about it, or do we tend to, as you said, there will be some who find it a very sad time for a variety of reasons. Even, Marnie, if it's the first Easter, without a loved one or after an accident. You think of the people, and you've got family affected by the recent floods. So Easter for a lot of people will be very, very different to what it might have
Absolutely,
been.
yeah. I mean, there's whole towns that have gone. Lismore doesn't exist hardly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what traditions did they have in their house? And I think that helped me. It's not the material things always. I mean, they're great, and don't get me wrong. You can see I'm full of stuff, but you have to realise that it's the memories connected to those physical things that are what keep us motivated or keep us moving or keep us doing things. So, you know, treasures that you've had that you've lost, they can't replace the memory of those treasures because they're up here and in your heart. So what can you take out of that will help to normalise maybe what Easter may be for you? Can you organise an outdoor hunt, or can you reach out to other people in the same situation? I do believe there's a lot of giving in the world. People give. They give freely and happily most times, because if you don't like giving, you don't do it. So very, very few people would give unhappily. All right, so the gift of giving is blessing. You're gifting something of value that you consider of value to someone else, whether that be money, food, items, or time. It doesn't matter what it is. It's something that you've gifted to another person. So, reach out if there's places that can gift. And it's not always that tangible giving. It's that, the pat on the back, or the would you like to join in, the invitation to share. And I think it's an ideal time at the moment to share, either with family or people you know occasionally that you might like to wish happy Easter to. I know I started a year ago. I started thanking our veterinary science people, like our vets and our vet nurses and the staff that work in the veterinary clinics and things like that, because they cop a lot of flack through things not in their control. And I realised that if you're a pet owner, it's your responsibility to ensure that your pets are looked after. You can't blame the other person always for not fixing a pet if you haven't taken them down or something like that. And so I've made these beautiful gratitude cards. And there's a couple of vet clinics around here that I'm dropping off some Easter eggs to with the card, just to say thank you. The staff can eat them or not. They just can't let the dogs eat them. But, how can you give thanks? How can you give to someone else?
Yes.
Which starts its own chain of blessings.
I know I've got the little solid Easter eggs, and I have some in my bag, and very fortunate that it's not too warm. Yeah. And it's really lovely to open up the purse and wish everybody just a simple thing. There was a lady who was cleaning a shopping centre, and to be able to say, thank you for what you do.
Yeah. And that's that ripple effect. I mean, she'll feel thrilled that she was acknowledged and got given this little gift of something, and it's a memory in her mind, and she can pass it on or speak about it. So speaking about it keeps that ripple going. Yeah. So we can create ripples of our own easily. And sometimes it's as simply as smiling at someone.
And also, Marnie, we're quick to complain about something. How often do we take the time to say thank you? To make that phone call and say, I received really good service. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because the people at the other end, I really feel for those in customer service.
Absolutely.
Especially at the moment. And just think, oh, boy, it's a really tough gig. And I know a few times I've pulled myself up and said, look, I know that you personally, I'm not responsible for this. I'm feeling just a tad frustrated or whatever. But I realise, it's not you. You're the messenger or whatever. Yeah, so to be aware. I'd like to welcome Demian, and who is wishing everybody blessings.
Thank you. Same returned. And where's she from?
I don't know. I think it might be a he.
Oh, he.
Debbie?
Sorry, pardon me.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay.
People are wonderful. They say hello, and sometimes I know where these people are from, and sometimes we don't.
You don't,
So
yeah.
those people who are watching, if you'd like to let us know where you're watching from, that would be fun too. How do you celebrate Easter?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you? You know, when you say that word, do you feel lighter? Demian, how are you, ladies? Well, I hope you can tell Demian that we're fine. We're loving the moment. Well, Demian comes from Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, there you go.
A fellow Melburnian. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
So if sometimes you need to be aware of, you talking about how does that make you feel? So actually identify what a word means. So if you say, oh, it's Easter time, and you find yourself smiling and your eyes light up and stuff like that, it means it's a time that you really enjoy it. But if you say Easter and you go, oh, like this, step back and say, okay, why am I feeling like that? What about Easter am I not enjoying? Is it the craziness? Is it the shops are shut for a day? Is it, you know, how do I afford to buy my children eggs? Is it, you know, because that's the norm of Easter. The children nowadays, with that commercialisation that you were talking about, have an expectation of an Easter egg. But also, too, when you think about it, an Easter egg is not an overly expensive outlay, whereas if that did get a crazy big toy, it would be a lot harder if you had a family. But go back to basic tradition, like just start a tradition. So if things are a bit tight in your family, what can you do to make it a memorable thing, even if it's not over the top expensive? You know, you buy your container of 12 eggs, and how can you put them in a little basket or in something? So can you go and buy a special? That's the other thing. See, my mum installed all these things in my head, and we had our own cup, saucer and plate, but we also had our own egg cups, you know, for when we had boiled eggs. So we would often get an Easter egg in an egg cup. So it would have been a small chocolate egg, but it was our cup and no one else was allowed to use it. So, and you can still buy those things.
Yes.
You know, go and look for them. Go to Kmart or go to the op shops, because other people will have given away their egg cups that they no longer need. And that could be the blessing that you're looking for. Yeah. And start that easy tradition. Lovely. Don't make it complicated.
Another lovely time to be creative. You know, I agree with you. Simplicity. It doesn't have to be a lot at all. You know, we can fill jars. We can fill older mugs. I can remember Marnie, I think it was at a Christmas time, someone was saying, and doesn't have to be at Christmas at all, we could, you've been mugged, pass it on. And we could put anything in a mug.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know about you, but I tend to get an overload of mugs, so it's lovely to be able to recycle.
I've gifted lots away because I collected them and Mum collected them, so we had mugs everywhere. And I was able to go through and go, you know what, I have no connection to that mug whatsoever. I'm happy to pass it on. So I love mugs with sayings on them. Like this one is, I can and I will. You know, so when I'm drinking out of that, I've got that positivity because it's written on the top lip as well as I'm drinking. But as much as that, your enjoyment of things instills that in other people as well. So my mum was a mug and a hug lady. She had a collection of mugs in her cupboard for people that she didn't know yet. And when she got to know them, they got a mug and a hug. But, you know, that's had far-reaching ripple effects. And, you know, I actually ran into a lady in the shopping centre the other day, and I looked at her and I thought, I know that lady. And she looked at me and she smiled as we smiled at each other. And then the penny dropped for me, and I realised she was one of Mum and Dad's cleaners that used to come through the assistance package. And we started talking and chatting and everything. And she was saying, you know what, I still have the mug your Mum gave me, and I still love drinking out of it. And she said it stirred up a lot of memories for her when she saw me. And it was nice. It was a nice catch up. And I know many people that are still drinking out of Mum's mugs.
I think that's lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Demian is saying the simplest things can be the most beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know with my Easter hunt, like nowadays you buy the kit, right? It's for $3 or something like that. But they never used to be around. You used to make your own. So sit there and be creative and draw bunny feet or just do whatever you can. And I know when the girls first came to Brisbane and they were really tiny, so they were 2 and 14 months or something, they couldn't read. So I would get photos and print out a picture of our heads and then put our name beside it and laminate those, and they would go on the egg. So when they found an egg, they would see the photo of the person, and they knew that photo meant that person got that gift. So, you can come up with stuff. Just come up with stuff. It can be in the house. It doesn't have to be outside. I've done treasure hunts in rooms and sent them, put a picture of a bed or a picture of something, and they knew that was in another room, so they'd race off to the other room. And sometimes they were in the laundry basket and they just put towels over the top of them and they discovered the laundry basket. But it's about, it's your excitement. So what can you put into it? And if you're so tired you can't put any into it, put their eggs on the end of their bed. When they wake up, they'll be excited.
Absolutely. Yep.
So,
ideal. What's the word? Cater to the time, as we spoke earlier. There'll be lots of people this year having to cater in ways that, goodness me, 2 months ago they wouldn't have thought possible.
No. Yeah. So you need to nurture yourself. So self-care comes first. You need the oxygen first. So if your oxygen capacity is limited, what can you do with that limited oxygen? That doesn't deplete it, because it needs to have enough in there for you to be sane. So, lift your own energy up. And maybe you need to physically lift up some energy too. So remember, we're kinesiologists. I'm a kinesiologist, so I work with energy. So how can you lift your energy so that you've got some capacity or you've got some power back into your space? So one very simple way is to or to stand up. So put one hand on your belly button and the other hand just on your neck area here. Now, your belly button you should be able to find pretty easily. Your neck area, people worry about that spot because they go, I haven't got the right spot. If you've got a thumb and a finger touching either collarbone, you've got the right spot. Your hand is a perfect size for your body. So just one finger and one, like a thumb and a finger touching your collarbone, and just have your hand like that across there. And take a breath. And just give yourself permission to, 5 seconds peace. Go back to that story that's around at the moment about the Mrs. Large and the elephant who was looking for 5 minutes peace. Sometimes that's not doable. So go for 5 seconds. Just hold your belly button and hold your hand here. It's very comforting. And you'll find yourself take a nice deep breath and just let yourself know you're safe and that you can, you look forward to doing what you're wanting to do. And just let that energy soak into your body and lift yourself. It's just
simple and so effective. I just tried it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's calming. It's calmative. Right, and when you're in that state of anxiety or dread or panic or whatever's going on in your life, and there's so much going on, your head's just like a hamster wheel. It just runs round and round and round in circles. So you need to stay there. You need to pause. So I often say to clients, imagine that chaos up there is on a television screen. It just happens to be in your head, which is really hard. So get an old remote control from a TV. If it's your current TV one, just take it away from where the TV is and hold the pause button and give yourself permission for that rabbit wheel or whatever's going on in there to pause and physically push the pause button. Take that breath, take those few steps and breathe 3 or 4 times in and out really calmly as you're saying you're safe. And then you can let the pause button go and put the controls back where you had it. It's taking action on what's going on, and you'll find it just gives the brain a moment's pause. Then you can think again.
See, a nice little pause.
So if you haven't got grandchildren, you may not have read 5 minutes piece. Do you know it, Annette? Have your grandchildren had that one?
No, I don't believe they do.
5 minutes piece, right? And it's a story of a family of elephants, as it is. And there's Mrs. Large, and she's looking for 5 minutes peace. So her kids are creating chaos in her house, and breakfast is all over the place. And she sneaks upstairs with a cup of tea and a hat to get in a bubble bath with the paper to have 5 minutes peace. And I think she's there about a second, and they've found her. And they guilt her into letting her listen to flute playing, and you let him play the flute, why can't I read, kind of thing. And then the baby hasn't got a clue, so he just throws all his toys in the bath and joins her. And so this is ridiculous. So she gets out again, and they're, Mum, where are you going? I'm following you again. And she goes downstairs, I'm looking for 5 minutes peace. And she gets downstairs, and the end of the story is, well, Mrs. Large got 3 minutes and 45 seconds of peace. But it's just that. It just touches you. You just go, yeah, I get that. I so get that. I was actually thinking the other day, I do some of my better work, I think, sometimes in the middle of the night, and I woke up and I thought, I have to make a spray called 5 minutes peace. A spritzer, just 5 minutes peace.
Yeah.
Parents would know what that meant when they saw it. So it's on my to-do list.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, a to-do list. I don't know about you, Marnie. When I have a to-do list, sometimes it's written down, sometimes it's in my head. And obviously there are some things that, yes, I need to do at this point in time. And then there are other things that are on that list. And I delight in realising that, oh, I've done that one.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Didn't have to think about it.
I've been there for a while.
Yeah.
Finally.
I also, what made me realise that I needed to, because I do have a lot of my spritzers and stuff are made through, someone will say, I would like X, Y, and Z. So I go, oh, I've got a mist for that or a spray for that. Or I could create one for you. And it was something that sort of the energy was saying from the clinic, it needs to be a new spritzer, because people are requiring, there's just those 5 minutes peace. Because, chaos reigning all the time doesn't create good health and wellness. It has an impact on your health and wellness at an intrinsic level, and then it builds and builds and builds. So, there are times that we need to be able to say, what's a tangible thing I can do that I feel like I'm creating action or doing some form of action to help myself do what I'm looking to do. So by making this spray, and we've just got a new oil. It's not a full. It's vanilla, but it's not vanilla. I love the smell of vanilla, but you can't always get a nice vanilla smell. And my oil company have just created this vanilla, and it's not exactly what I'm after, but it's so close to it, and it's one that I know I need to put in for this 5 minutes piece. I'm just playing with what else needs to go in there. So, and I'm sure the guides and angels will let me know when I'm making my magic.
They certainly will.
Absolutely, yes.
And it'll be in divine time, not
absolutely,
necessarily
yes.
our time.
Yes. Well, I have an agreement with my guides and angels. They need to work sometimes in human time, because I don't always have divine time waiting. So, yeah.
And that can work both ways too.
Yeah,
I look
absolutely.
at gorgeous Anaya, and she had the angel code. She had that.
Yeah, because you look at the dates
calculating for 20 years.
Long, yeah.
And yet the timing was perfect. And she wouldn't be the only author saying exactly that.
No.
Look at your coffee table book.
I know, it's still going. I keep coming up with reasons for not finishing it. And some of them are valid, some of them are not so valid. My latest one is on privacy. And I realised when we took the photos, we weren't worrying about who was behind us or what was behind us. We were just taking the photo of Mum and her enjoyment of the cake in front of her, or the companionship that we were gifting ourselves at the time. So I wasn't as conscious of background. But now I'm more conscious. Well, if I put that in a book that's printed, I don't know any of these people. So how do I fade their faces a little bit so that they're not as obvious? Because you go through the photos and you realise so many of them have people behind them. and I don't know what their rights are or the protocol is for producing photos that have people in it that don't know they're in a book. You know, it could have ramifications, so you do have to think about that.
Well, we do. It's interesting, though, isn't it? In days gone by, I guess we wouldn't have, the technology wasn't necessarily there. If we took photos, it was on a camera and you waited for them to be developed, and they were our own personal collection.
Yeah, yeah.
They might sit in a photo album, or they might sit in a box for years and years and years. We didn't have to think about, oh my goodness, I've caught so-and-so in the background.
Yeah, and I didn't think of it.
In the background.
We didn't think of it even when we were doing coffee chats, because we shared them regularly on Facebook and social media. So it wasn't a conscious worry of me then. It's just in the print form, I'm a little bit more cautious of the background. So, it's percolating along. I get it out every so often. I'll add another little bit, or I think of something else to put in it, because it's a healing journey. It's not just pictures. Someone said to me, why would someone buy something of pictures of you and your mum having coffee and cake? And I said, well, it's not about that. The person that buys this is not worrying about that's what we're buying. They're looking at the connection. They're making their own connections and memories with their parents. And I did have a lot of people contact me after mum passed and say watching our journey of coffee chats made them realise you don't have time forever, and made them reconnect with their parents or go out and have a cup of coffee and not worry about the fact it was a cream cake. You know, my personal belief nowadays is you'd be lucky to find a cream cake. People are just so, I don't know, the old-fashioned Chantilly sponge cake and cream, you know, cream and sponge, you just don't find them as much now.
No.
Which is a shame, because they were so easy to eat and anyone could eat them. If you didn't want the cream, you just scraped it off, for goodness sakes. So it's coming back to blessings, Annette. It's about, what am I having right now that's a blessing that I can give thanks for. And if you're eating, if you're looking at something, say your Easter eggs, and you're looking at their Easter egg and you're eating it and you're feeling such a degree of guilt because you've just eaten this chocolate egg, can you imagine where that's being stored in the liver, gallbladder, energy field, which is the toxic emotions? You don't want it in there. Get it out of there and just say, thank you so much for allowing me the joy of having this Easter egg. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I will limit my supply from now on. But you're making a conscious decision, so just run with it. Don't guilt trip yourself. You don't need to. Other people will do it.
No, if I go out to enjoy a hot drink and a cake, that's exactly what I do. And recently I've had reason to experiment with scones, something I never used to make. And I make little ones, and they are absolutely divine. And a friend has very kindly given me some lemon curd. Well,
yes.
And lately lime curd. Well,
you're in heaven.
Delicious. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
you know, be thankful that you've got them, and as you do, you put joy and happiness into everything you do, and on the whole, you're a joy and happy person, and you'll have moments of not feeling as joyful or happy, but you've spent a long time nurturing ways of picking your energy up. Not everyone has done that, so you know, you and I are very similar, and so we've made a conscious decision to feel happy about being alive. You know, and sharing that happiness with other people. We might drive them nuts sometimes, but it's part of our joy and happiness, isn't it? So, you know, it needs to be it's your own responsibility to live in a way that suits you and suits your life energy.
Indeed. Yes.
It's easier.
Yes, and I find it much easier to be bubbly, and smiles cost nothing. And if I smile at somebody else, I'm lifting my own energy at the same time.
Yeah. Someone once said to me, I don't want to turn into one of those people that's happy about everything. And that's not what it's about. You're not happy about everything. There's things that'll be really distressing or make you feel down, but you have capacity to take yourself out of that space and uplift yourself. So it's not saying you're happy about everything that's happening. We live in the real world. I'm a very balanced person. So there's times where I'm not happy, but there's more times that I am happy.
Yep. Oh, yes. How can we bring enjoyment to ourselves and to other people? And I think that's because the more joy, the more love that we can spread, the better this world is going to be. No, we can get bogged down in doom and gloom, the old fear factor raising its head, or we can go, okay, well, even there is so often, well, I believe always, a silver lining. We might not see it straight away. You know, you look at your recent situation where you helped family members who had been flooded out. You know, that gave you an opportunity for a family time that you wouldn't have normally had.
Yeah. And for me, that's one of my reasons for living is family. Did it add to the chaos of the house? Yes, absolutely, because we had a newborn baby at the same time. So one of the family just had their baby, and suddenly there's 3 other people in the house along with their menagerie. It added. Did it take extra work? Absolutely. But was it nice to be able to offer that accommodation and be able to support these people? Yes, definitely. And I wouldn't think twice about doing it again. So, and how nice for them to be able to say, oh, well, I'll head home to mum and dad's and know that they're welcome and can bring their dogs, cats and chickens. So.
Now, Demian is saying, I made the conscious thought to be happy about 7 years ago.
Oh, well done.
When your energy is mostly positive, it makes others feel good and positive within.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't realise that you affect other people's energy, but just take yourself to a situation that you're in a shopping centre and you see someone who's always down. Okay, now you'll see them and you'll consciously or subconsciously in your head think, oh, I haven't got time for this today, because you can see their energy. Their shoulders are forward and their face is gaunt. And it's not that you don't care for them, you just haven't got the energy to cope with whatever they're coping with. So you will do anything you can to avoid that person. Now, when that person sees you and you can't avoid them anymore, you've still got that, oh my God, I can't do this. But you've got to be able to just visit them without taking on board their energy, right? And take your shoulders back and open your heart chakra and just say, how are you today? And, smile at them or get them to smile at something, because them smiling at something is lifting their energy straight away. All right. So it doesn't mean you have to fix them. You don't have to fix them. You just have to be able to defray some of their negativity on top of you. So imagine you've got, wrap them in bubble wrap. My daughter gave me this concept many years ago when a friend of hers partner was killed tragically in a car accident. And she made the comment, she said, I'm wrapping all the family in bubble wrap so they cope better. And I went, oh, what a great concept.
Yes.
You can imagine people being just wrapped in this lovely bubble wrap and being protected from some of the sharpness of life. So wrap that other person in virtual bubble wrap. And if you have to, put a colour into it if you really need to. And the colour that's showing up regularly for me at the moment in clinic for people that are going under a lot of duress is a very pale blue. And for me, the connection to that is Mother Mary, really. It's a quintessential mothering colour. And it's also very calming. So it's showing up quite regularly.
Isn't it nice to be, well, for me, it's very nice to be able to sigh and in a night, just,
let it out. Yeah.
And people say that I'm busy. I like to say that I'm delightfully busy, and I am aware these days of more time for me. And that's a wonderful thing as well. I do believe I have a balanced lifestyle, and that's something else that people can look at. Do you feel as though you're, oh my goodness, there's so much to do, or have you been able to deal with whatever has been in each day, and in a calmer way.
Mm. Sometimes you need that realization of hindsight. So start the day, try and see if you can get out of, when you get out of bed, how much energy do I feel like I have today? And if you've already got 5 million things crowding through your head, your energy levels will be quite low. So you need to know ways that you can use to park some of that. So that pause button is a good way of doing it. You know, pause before you get out of bed so that you can think, okay, what's one of my blessings for today? Because it's easy enough to remember all the negative things. So use the pause button before you get out of bed and go, okay, can I think of one blessing today? So that one blessing defrays some of that negativity or that chaos that's waiting to come through. And then at the end of the day, do the same kind of thing. Put pause on what's going on and say, what was one of the blessings? So I'm looking forward to a blessing is one way, but look back and go, what was one of the blessings? And at both times, see if you can judge how your energy level's been, or have you suddenly realised that there was a lot happening today, but I coped so much better. And that's all about some of the things you're putting into play to cope with everyday life. You mightn't realise that you're putting things in place to help yourself, but you'll hear things, you'll read things, you'll do things, and they just become part of your toolbox, and they're automatic sometimes.
Yes, and we can. I mean, that saying, practice makes perfect. Something to start with, we have to consciously do things, and then all of a sudden, it's a habit that we've got into, and can help our days. And also, when we're calm, when we're coping, hey, so are the people. It makes it easier for those we're coming into contact with.
Well, it doesn't tip your stress bucket over the edge, other people's stuff. And that's a great thing sometimes is identifying whose business is worrying you at the moment. Is it yours, someone else's, or the universe? And if it's the universe, you know, you've just got to work out what you can do to work in that field and work around that. Like weather, you can't do anything about the weather, but you can take precautions, or you can take notice of what it's going to be. So do you pack a raincoat, or do you take your umbrella, or, you know, do you need sunscreen? Whatever it might be for the weather at the time. But for yourself, you can do things that make you feel better. So if you know you don't cope well in the heat, what things can you put in place? Can you make sure you've got a water bottle with you? You know, it's just go and buy some rescue remedy pilules and put a rescue remedy in the water, so that when you're drinking it, you're coming back to center. You're being aligned all the time while you're drinking the water. Someone else drinks from you, like one of your children drinks from the water bottle, it's not going to harm them. It's going to be beneficial to them as well. So, you know, so what can you do for yourself that nurtures you? Don't go shopping on an empty stomach. That's a bad one. Feed the children first and then go shopping. Or give them tasks when you're out there. It's not always going to work. You know, it's going to flick your switch, and you're going to relate to it or react to it, and that's fine, but don't make that bigger than Ben-Hur. It's an oops moment. It happened. Can you change it? No. Can you do something about it next time? Probably. Learn. Take the blessing that you were gifted from that experience and put it into the next experience.
Oh, I always said I'm a slow learner. Laughter. It's so important to be able to laugh. You know, okay. Spilt milk means, oh, well, I can mop the floor at the same. Good reason to.
Or get the dog inside to lick it up. You know, is it a calamity? Only if it wrecks something underneath it, you know. What did I do yesterday I went, oh, for God's sake, why did I do that? Oh, no, I was having a cup of coffee. I was at the shops. I admit to being a shopper, and I treated myself to a cappuccino, and I didn't quite finish it. So I was putting it in the trolley and changed trolleys. And instead of putting it in the trolley like I should have done as I had done the first time, I thought, oh, I'll just put it in one of my shopping bags, right? And because it was a nice size, and I'll just rest it in there, and I'll remember it's in there, won't I? Yeah, no. So, you know, taking out the shopping bags to give it to the shop assistant, I've just put this shopping bag. What on earth is that? I realised it was my coffee tipped upside down, going all over the counter. Luckily, he had paper towels and I could mop it all up. But I went, oh, you'd think I would have remembered doing that. Not a chance. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to make a mess.
Right.
And the shop assistant was lovely. He didn't bat an eyelid, just gave me the paper towel and I mopped it all up and it was all good. So,
yeah. I smile at myself, Marnie, because quite often I will get the little message, you'll need that, or be careful with that. And then sure enough, something happens and I go, I was told.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've listened and taken heed, and sometimes no.
I don't even know why I put it in the bag, because it's not something I think it was a different shaped trolley and it just didn't fit in the corner that I was needing to stand. Because some Woolworths actually have a cup holder on the front of the trolley and it's great because you never lose your cup there. But this one was just the old-fashioned trolley and it didn't have a cup holder.
Right.
Yeah. Anyhow, it was what it was, and it got fixed and rectified. And did the ceiling collapse? No one, didn't hurt anyone overly, apart from the fact I didn't get to finish my coffee, which maybe the universe was saying you didn't need it. Don't know, but it happened. It was an accident. It was just one of those things, and it was able to be fixed.
And you were lucky you had the towels.
Well, the man had the towels. I didn't have any towels.
Oh, beg your pardon.
Yeah, at the counter, I said, you don't have any paper towels, do you? And he said, oh, yes, they have big roll, because I'd say they're used to mopping up spilt lots of things. So
nice.
Yeah.
Damien says that he often gets those messages. So my next question would be, well, do you heed them? Because I love it when I get them and I go, oh, yes, thank you.
Or the one that you're rushing out and you race back and grab something and not realising you wanted it. And then you get to use it and you go, oh, that was cool.
Oh, the times that I've, been told to put something in the car and I'll go, no, but I'm not doing that today. I'm not going near that place. Mm-hmm. I now know I put things in because invariably I find myself, oh, well, I can do that today.
Yep. Just passing. Thought I'd drop in.
Yeah. Thank you for the messages. We are blessed.
You get better when you've had that intuition or intuitive moment and you've acted on it. You can, if you actually acknowledge that was a message and you took notice of it, or you understood that message and put it in the bag or did whatever, it kind of makes a filing, like a file on intuition. So you tend to then listen more or understand more some of the messages you're getting, because some of them are very cryptic. I'm not a cryptic crossworder, so I don't always look at the cryptic messages. I don't get them as much. And there's some that you get in a startling way too. And I've heard in recent times that that's some of Archangel Michael sometimes has to be very loud in letting you know to heed a message. Because it's kind of like a loud voice in your head kind of thing, and it's a time where he hasn't got time to filter the message sort of softly. So when you're getting those loud messages, it means that the universe is saying you need to act on that now. It's an urgent something. So
Demian's saying, when I'm paying attention, I do heed the message, and other times it's I should have listened.
Yeah, that's hindsight, Damien. I believe hindsight is the messages you didn't listen or act on. Because you look back and you go, I knew that. I knew I should have done that. And as they say, hindsight's a good thing sometimes and annoying others.
So true. Marnie, it has been an absolute delight.
Oh,
Thank you.
And I wish you all your own little Easter bunny. Look, you can buy beautiful ones now as well. Look at this little girl.
Oh, look.
End up somewhere in a garden so the kids can find something near it. Bit of an in-your-face message, that one. Hey, look here. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so wish everyone a blessed Easter, and whatever Easter brings you, please enjoy it.
Thank you very, very much, Marnie. everybody, I look forward to being with you next week. I have a very, very special guest. Maureen St. Germain will be coming on talking about her new book, How We Cope with 5D.
Okay.
In the meantime, may you all have a truly delightful Easter. Enjoy making it fun for yourself and fun for others. And whilst I'm highlighting Easter, I'm really talking about life in general. Yes, we've got a very special time coming up. Every day is special. Every day we have the opportunity of making a positive difference. Let's do it. Everybody, enjoy. Let's have a lovely, lovely time pleasing ourselves and bringing joy to